Welcome to our lesson on commercial arithmetic. In this lesson, we're going to look at the concept of profit and loss. Now, we know in general commercial arithmetic deals with business transactions, the buying and selling of goods and services. So the idea behind any business transaction is for the purposes of making a profit by the person who is selling. Now, due to the nature of business, sometimes the seller may incur a loss. So we're going to look at the concept of profit and loss as our lesson for today. Now, we know a profit is an amount that the seller realizes on top of whatever amount was spent in either producing or procuring a given item or service. So the idea of a profit is realized by deducting the cost price from the selling price. This means that when one is selling an item, they have a profit margin, an amount which is put on top of whatever cost they incurred in either producing or purchasing that item. So normally the selling price is higher than the cost price. Under normal circumstance, the cost price is lower than the selling price because you determine the selling price after considering how much profit you need to make on the item. But we can modify this so that if you've made a loss in the transaction, sometimes unintended, you end up selling at a lower price than the cost that you incurred. So there are times when the cost price is higher than the selling price, which means you've got a loss. You have incurred a loss. So these are the two expressions that we have defining profit and loss, though generally we use the first expression for both the profit situation and the loss situation, in which case if the selling price is lower than the cost price, the subtraction in the first expression leads to a negative value. So the negative is interpreted to be negative profit, which is a loss. Now, most of the time, the concept of profit and loss is interpreted in percentage form, so that we get the percentage profit. We get the percentage profit by dividing the profit amount, the profit which has been realized, by the cost, and then we multiply that by 100. So if you made a profit, you can express that profit in percentage form by simply dividing the amount that has been realized as profit as a numerator of the cost price. The cost price, and then we multiply that fraction by 100. Then it means we have converted this fraction to a percentage value. Similarly, we can also get an expression for the percentage loss if what has been incurred is a loss instead of a profit. We can also get the same fraction of loss over the cost price, then we divide, okay, the loss over the cost price, the loss amount over the cost price, again we multiply by 100. Now these four expressions can be modified depending on the circumstances of the transaction, but it's very important that you understand what variables are involved. So for example, in the first statement we have three variables. We have the profit amount, which is realized, we have the selling price, and we have the cost price. So these are three variables, meaning that you can work with any two to find the third. You can have the profit, which is known, and the selling price, which is known, so that you get to know what the cost price was. Or you have made a loss, so you can also get that from the same statement. You can also get to the selling price, for example, if the cost is known and the loss or the profit is also known, so you can get an idea of what the selling price was. The expressions that calculate the percentage can also be treated in the same way. So we're just going to look at one or two examples to see how we can calculate profit, loss, and profit percentage and loss percentage. So let's look at an example and say, okay, we have bought a wedding ring. Let's say somebody has bought a wedding ring. Then after buying this ring, maybe the wedding is cancelled, and they decided to resell the ring. Now let's say in reselling the ring, there is a loss that has been incurred. Okay, so let's say we have a situation like that. If a ring has been sold for 1,500, if we sell a ring at 1,500, making a loss, we have made a loss of, let's say, 20, 30 or 40%. Okay, we make a loss of 40%. We make a loss of 40% after selling a ring at 1,500. What was the cost? How much did we buy this ring? So that when we sell it at 1,500, we are making a loss of 40%. All right. So in analyzing this information, of course, we have two values that are given. We have the selling price and we have the loss percentage, which means we are relating this information to two different expressions: the percentage loss and the loss as an amount. Now, what we don't have here is the cost price. What is the cost price? Because once we know the cost price, we'll be able to understand exactly what the whole transaction is all about, or how it went. So we can try to combine these two expressions so that we simplify, and we have said that the percentage loss is found by dividing the loss as an amount, by the cost price, the loss as an amount by the cost price, then multiplied by 100. Okay, of course, you know the 100 is the percent there. Okay, so it means we have the percent appearing. So now in this expression, we know where the loss is coming from. The loss is simply cost price minus selling price. Okay, the loss here has been given. The loss is selling price, cost price minus selling price, which means we can rewrite our statement and say percentage loss. If we are to rewrite this, it would mean percentage loss is equal to where there is loss, we are now going to say the cost price. That is the loss, because we get the loss by subtracting selling price from cost price. So say cost price minus selling price. This is selling price. Okay, so this is our loss on the numerator, and we are saying we should divide this by cost price. So we have just substituted a loss. Now we need to multiply by the percent, which is 100. Okay, so we have modified our formula for percentage loss slightly, so that the loss is here represented by the expression for the loss, which is the cost price minus selling price. Now, in this formula that we have adopted, we have the percentage loss in the question, which is 40%, and we have the selling price, which is 1,500. So the only variable which is missing here is the cost price, this value here. So if we can substitute this and solve, we can find what the cost was, the cost at which the ring was bought at first before reselling it at a 40% loss. So we can substitute and say the loss incurred is 40%. Of course, we are writing 40. The 40 per 100, 40%, 40 per 100, that is the 100 which is appearing across there. So we are saying 40% is equal to, let's say our cost price is X, then minus selling price. The selling price is 1,500. 1,500 over the cost price. Then we are saying times 100. Right? So when we simplify this equation, we'll be able to find the X, which is our value for the cost price. So we have here 40 over 1 equals, the 100 here is a rational number, which means it's multiplying the numerator x minus 15, which means we have x times 100 is 100x minus 1500 times 100, which is 150,000. That is over x. So when we cross multiply here to solve the equation, we're going to have 40x is equal to 100x minus 1,000. 150,000. So we can group the like terms together and solve for the cost price. We can group the like terms together and solve for the cost price. When we group the like terms together, we're going to have 150,000 is equal to 100x minus 40x. So 150,000 is equal to 60x. Okay, so that the cost price x, we divide both sides by the coefficient 60. We divide both sides by the coefficient 60, so that we find when we divide both sides by the coefficient 60, we'll find x is equal to 2,500, which means the cost price of the wedding ring was 2,500. So we've got an idea of how much the ring was bought at first before it was resold. Okay, so it was first bought at 2,500. Then after the wedding was cancelled, it was resold at 1,500, and the loss, therefore it means the loss is 2,500 minus 1,500, which is 1,000 kwacha. So when we calculate 1,000 kwacha as a percentage, it should be able to give us the percentage of 40%. So this is how we calculate profit and loss. It's important just to understand what variables are in the question, and then we can work around to find whatever variable is missing.